we go again. What's up?
What's going on, Dan? You all good?
We meet again.
This time, of course, we're in Providence. Have you been here before?
No, I've covered fights all over the place. This is my first time. I've been to Rhode Island before, but my first time ever covering a fight here. I'm looking forward to it. I like seeing guys fight in their hometowns, sort of see the reaction of the local fans, see how the local media coverage is of the fight, and see if the town's excited about the fight. And I get a kick out of that.
This is probably going to go out just before sort of the main event or after it. So we're just going to assume that Andrade comes through tonight against Selecki. Do you sort of see him fighting a Golovkin or a Canelo next?
Probably not Canelo. I think Triple G is a possibility. If the Canelo Triple G third fight doesn't get made, then he probably has a chance to get a fight with Golovkin in the fall. If Canelo goes another direction, been discussions about maybe Callum Smith, maybe Sergey Kovalev. Yeah. If he does take that approach and looks to make that fight or one of those fights, then Triple G is going to be looking for a bigger fight in the fall. It'd be an opportunity to fight for another world title. Certainly, you're not going to find Andre turn down and fight like against Golovkin or against Canelo, but yeah, I think it's possible.
Do you think TeamGGG will want to fight Andre though before that Canelo fight, probably next year?
They'll have to talk about it. I mean, it's a calculated risk. Andre's a tough out for anybody. He's undefeated. He's very skillful. He's got a big amateur background. He's been a two-time champion, and he's more active now. So I think he's getting sharp. This can be his third fight. Obviously I know this is going to go out after the fight's over, but if he comes through that fight, it'll have been his third fight in 8 months. That's as active as any top championship level guy is in the sport these days. So he'll be sharp. And
just back to Canelo, in terms of the Kovalev fight, if that does come off, what do you make of that? Him moving up to light heavyweight?
Yeah, listen, a couple things about that. Number one, it's a very interesting fight. I mean, Canelo wants to fight guys with big names, and there is no bigger name in the light heavyweight division than Sergey Kovalev. He's been around for a long time. He's older, but he's still talented. He just come off a big win against Elidier Alvarez to regain the title that he lost. People make a lot made a lot of the loss to Alvarez, and it's understandable because he got stopped. But the reality is, if you watch the fight, Kovalev was winning fairly handily, and just had a horrendous 7th round and got stopped. So yes, it's a knockout loss, and there's no taking away the credit for the win from Alvarez. But the way that he came back and beat Alvarez in the rematch, you can chalk it up to like if they've had, 18 rounds together, whatever it was, he's probably won 15 of them. Yeah. So, Kovalev's still a dangerous guy is the point. And look, you have to give Canelo Alvarez a lot of credit. He is a guy that backs up what he says. He wants to be great. He wants to fight the best guys. He wants to leave a legacy. And, if he goes from being middleweight champion, coming off the victory against Daniel Jacobs, and jumps up 2 weight classes to fight a bona fide championship level, top quality guy like Sergey Kovalev, that's a big step. I mean, I know he fought Rocky Fielding as a super middleweight. That was, not the toughest fight in the world. That fight with Kovalev would be really big.
I think you're absolutely right about Kovalev. He boxed really well in that rematch, and people suggested that he's kind of over the hill and stuff. Possibly seen his best days, but he's still a very dangerous fighter.
Oh, for sure. He is a dangerous fighter. He can still punch. He still wants to fight, and I think he's rejuvenated maybe a little bit because of the change in trainers on his team, working with Buddy McGirt now. Obviously, whatever they talked about or whatever the game plan was, it certainly worked very well in the rematch with Alvarez. And look, Kovalev. One thing about Kovalev, he's never been in really a bad fight. He's always in a fun fight. And look, I may be in the minority when I say this, but for me, and I have no problem with seeing Triple G fight Canelo the third time. I'd be happy to see it. I want to see it, but I don't need to see it next. So if Canelo says, "Hey, I'd rather fight this guy or that guy," as long as it's a name, legit fight, bring it on. The other thing, though, also, and I think that before people get too excited about the prospect of him fighting Smith or maybe Kovalev, maybe they're just trying to, get Triple G in line. Threatening, we're going to go do this,
I see.
Using it as leverage to make sure that Golovkin comes around and makes the deal they want to make it, because Canelo seems to me have more options for bigger fights at the moment than Golovkin does. And Golovkin's the one that really wants the third fight, I think, more than Canelo. If you talk to Canelo, like he spoke about in the lead up to the Jacobs fight, he's like, yeah, I'll do the fight if that's what the fans want. But in his mind, he's like, I already beat him in the last fight. You know, they got the draw, so they cleared up that. So he doesn't really feel like he has to fight him again, whereas Golovkin feels like he was robbed twice and really wants the third fight. But for Canelo, you know, it's not like he's going to make that much more money to fight a Golovkin than a Kovalev, because his money is more or less set with his contract. So, you know, the reason to do it is not as much. I don't think he might make more for Golovkin, but not astronomically more.
I see.
So.
Okay, just switching up, talking about the heavyweight division. There's rumours floating about that Darrell Miller might box Tyson Fury October. MSG we're hearing. What are your thoughts on Darrell Miller returning to the ring so soon after, obviously, events?
I mean, I've heard those rumours too, and I know he's been talking about, you know, Greg Cohen, his promoter, and Salida, about possibly doing a co-promotion with Top Rank. He was in Las Vegas at the Tyson Fury fight and made his presence known there. I was told by people involved in his camp that although that conversation has taken place, that maybe he would fight Tyson Fury if he had won the fight against Schwartz. Remember, this is right before the fight.
Yeah.
The reality was it probably wouldn't be that fall fight. They understand that they got to bring him back in a certain way after all the terrible publicity and what happened with the multiple positive drug tests. Frankly, a fight between Fury and Miller after that situation would not have, there was so much negativity associated with it. I don't know if the promoters would want to do that.
But surely negativity is still attention on the fight,
I understand,
right?
but I'm also not sure that New York State would give him a license.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he just failed 4 tests for a fight that was supposed to take place in New York City against Anthony Joshua. So suddenly the commission's just going to give him a license without him answering questions or serving any kind of punishment? You know, I mean, anything is possible. People do stupid things in boxing. But, you know, that would be a big disappointment. I mean, honestly, I have no problem with Darrell Miller continuing his career, but there needs to be some penance. You don't just screw up everybody's plans and bring that kind of you know, news upon yourself by failing all those drug tests and walk into a Tyson Fury fight. That to me is just not the right thing.
There were some rumours also floating about that one of the banned substances that he took has something to do with rats. Can you make a comment on that? Is that true? Rats,
well,
yeah.
One of them, I believe, was found to cause cancer in rats.
Cancer in
them? Yeah, I mean, look, and Darrell Miller can't even get his story straight. He was talking to people at the Fury fight about how, you know, I only failed this many tests. It was only for this substance. He couldn't even get his story straight about how often he failed or whatever. He needs to come clean. He needs to tell everybody the answers to the questions that are important. When did you start taking? Who gave it to you? You know, have you been doing this your whole career? You know, and just be honest, get it all out, and then you can start the rebuilding process. And you know, everybody deserves a second chance, but you don't get a second chance till you pay a little bit of a penance and a punishment for the first, you know, for the infraction in the first place.
Just the last one, Dan, before I let you go and crack on with your day. We're expecting Joshua Ruiz 2 to happen next. If you had to put your last dollar on it, who are you picking?
Joshua. You know, I heard a lot of discussion after the fight. He didn't look right in the ring. He didn't look good. You know, there was problems in the camp. You know, he got roughed up in sparring. No one was saying that or talking about that when he flattened Andy Ruiz with that shot in the 3rd round. The problem started after that with a shot that basically concussed him. That can happen to anybody. You know, I think we talked about it in the interview right after the fight. I don't put any stock in people saying that Joshua quit or anything like that. I look at it the other way around, that the fact that he even made it to round 7 is a testament to his heart, because he could have easily been out of there in the 3rd round, and it went through another 4 rounds really not knowing where he was or what was going on. He's still a superior puncher to Ruiz. He's still bigger than Ruiz. He's still got more experience against better opposition than Ruiz. And he's more desperate to win than Ruiz. So, you know, could Ruiz win again? We underestimated him the first time he got the job done. So could he do it again? Yeah. But if you said, I have to bet my last dollar, I'm taking Joshua. To me, the better fighter, the better athlete in the rematch.
Okay, fair enough. Dan, appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your trip in Providence. Hopefully it'll be a good card tonight.
I hope so.
All right, cheers.